Okay, good morning, everyone. I hope that you are doing well. Um, so, in the last class, we covered the topic of interest uh, that operator overloading, right? So, we have covered how we can use a friend function to overload operators. It may be a unary operators or it may be a binary operators. And in last couple of classes, we have seen the several ways by which we can do this operator overloading. Okay, the first way by using the normal member function, we can do operator overloading, and the second way we have shown that by using the friend function for operator overloading. So today we are going to start with a new topic, which is a type conversion. How we can do a type conversion in C++, and what are the obstacles, what are the challenges that we can face to do a type conversion in C++. So let's start with the discussion. So today's main objective is doing the type conversion. I will show you the three kind of type conversion programs or three kind of type conversion techniques by which you can do a special kind of type conversion in C++ that you couldn't do in C programming language. And then if the time permits, then we can start a new chapter, a new topic of object-oriented programming C++ principle, that is our inheritance, which is one of the hard or core topic of C++ or any object-oriented programming language. Okay. So let me remind you that in C programming, how we can do a type conversion. So in C programming, as all of you know that there are some built-in data types or primitive data types exist in C programming, right? So this should be an automatic type conversion can be possible in C programming. So there are two kind of rules that the C programming applies, or you can say follows. So the first rule is automatic type conversion to the operands according to the rules. And let me share the screen. So the first kind of type conversion that the C programming applies is a automatic type conversion, which is the most simplest one, and that one will do by the compiler itself. That is the responsibility of the compiler to do this automatic type conversion of built-in data types, right? Built-in data types, or you can say primitive data types. So what are the primitive data types, the built-in data? There are various kind of primitives or built-in data types in C programming like int, char, float, double, long. Okay, there are various kind of built-in data types. So this type conversion in C programming is done with the help of the assignment operator. If you remember, this automatic type conversion in C programming is done with the help of assignment operator. Assignment operator means equal to operator, and the type of data that exists at the right hand side of the assignment operator is automatically converted to the type of the variable that exists on the left hand side of the assignment operator. Let me repeat it. As you know, the type of data which exists at the right hand side of an assignment operator is automatically converted to the type of data that exists on the left hand side of the assignment operator. Let me give you one example. All of you know it, just I am making a very brief revision of it. Okay. So suppose I have defined one variable int m, right, integer type of variable. Then I have defined initialize and define one more variable, that is float variable. Suppose the value of the float variable is 3.14, suppose 159, like this. Okay, and we will do these things, m equal to x, and if we print the value of m, okay, if we will print the value of m, okay, so can anyone tell me, is this program will successfully run or not? And if it will run, what will be the output you will receive after running this?
3.1459.
No. Anyone else?
3.145 মানে হবে না, কারণ ইন্টিজার এম প্রিন্ট করছি তো, আর এমটাকে আমরা
স্যার গার্ডের ভ্যালু দেবে।
হ্যাঁ শুধু 3
Yes.
প্রিন্ট হলে 3 প্রিন্ট হবে।
We actually print the just forget about the actual syntax. I am not writing here the program, so I am just writing one kind of pseudocode, you can say. So print m means I am trying to print the integer m, right? So whatever %d access specifier you are using in C programming, that you will do. That is your job to do, because I am not writing here the actual code. Okay, I am writing here a kind of pseudocode, right? So here our main job is to convert this float variable x into the integer variable m with the help of this assignment operator. And here the compiler will do its job by doing automatic type conversion. Both are built-in types, or both are primitive data types in C programming, int and float. So it will do the automatic type conversion, and the output we will receive here is only 3. Yes, only 3. So what is the problem? That the fractional part is truncated. As the output, the fractional part of 3.14159, whatever the fractional part it exists, it truncated. Okay, and the type conversion are automatically as long as the data type involved are built-in types. Okay, so that kind of thing has been done, automatic type conversion. Okay, and there is one more type conversion exists, that is explicit type conversion. That is explicit type conversion, right? So in case of explicit type conversion, what is actually happening in C programming? Explicit type conversion. How we can do explicit type conversion?
we have to use another keyword to make it, because it's not
Yes.
from itself. We have to make another. Use another keyword.
Forcefully, we will do these things. I am writing the assignment statement directly. Okay, the rest of the statement you can define. So if we want to convert it, then we will have to do this kind of thing, or X, like this.
Yes.
That is a explicit type conversion. I think all of you remember these things. By doing this forceful implications of the int built-in types, that we are trying to convert this float x into an integer type. So we will do it by explicit type conversion. And after doing the explicit type conversion, you will get the good result, a similar kind of results, right? So these two kind of things that we can apply in case of C programming. Okay, now comes into the concept of C++, where apart from built-in data types, there is another concept involved, that is user-defined data types. I repeat again, in C++, apart from built-in data types, there is another concept involved, that is user-defined data types. What are the user-defined data types? Is mostly the class objects or class type, what I will say, a class type objects, okay, that is a user-defined data type. So that is a challenge in C++. So in C++, suppose you trying to add 2 objects and assign the result to third object. Okay, so in C++, this process is possible. What I am trying to say, suppose there are 3 objects, objects 3, and you are doing the addition of the 2 objects and assign into the third objects in such a way. So it is applicable, or this statement is correctly applicable in C++ if all these objects are belong to the same class. Try to understand. Okay, this concept type conversion is fully based on your understanding. Programming is not a big deal. Programming is very simple. Okay, only do one line to do the typecasting. That is very simple. But you have to understood how the typecasting is happen and why we require this typecasting explicitly for the user-defined objects in C++. Because these user-defined object concepts are not there in C programming. Okay, so in C++, both the concepts are there, built-in types and user-defined types. So whenever you are going to convert from one built-in type objects to, from one built-in type data types to another built-in type data type, you will have to follow these approaches. So C programming approaches is also applicable for C++ approaches. Okay, for the primitive data types. for the primitive data types or built-in data types, integer, char, this kind of data types. But the problem is that this approaches is not applicable for the user-defined data types. Let's check it out. So here I am doing one small operation that we are adding or summing the two objects and assign the results to a third object. And these things can be correctly outputted or correctly executed if all these three objects belongs to the same class or similar class. That is very, very important. Okay, so the assignment operation here, addition and assignment operation here are carried out very smoothly, and the compiler does not make any complaint about it. Okay, but the problem is that so the problem we will face when these user-defined data types are belongs to different classes. That means the user-defined data type objects are belong to two different classes. Then this operation will never executed. Okay, what I am trying to say, suppose object 3 equal to object 1 plus object 2, and suppose object 1 belongs to class 1 and object 2 belongs to class 2. Then this is a problem that you are going to face. This operation will never getting executed. It will give error. The compiler will make a simple complaint, a simple error, and the compiler does not support any kind of type conversion, automatic type conversion for this kind of situation. Is it clear to everyone? So it is an uncompatible data type conversion. It is an uncompatible data type conversion. Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Why we require this data type conversion explicitly in C++ for the user-defined objects? That is the reason. That is the actual reason. Okay. So for normal cases, if the objects belongs to the same class, then you don't need to take any kind of headache. The compiler will do the automatic type conversion for yourself automatically. But if the object belongs to two different classes, then these things will not happen. Not only that, there are three kind of issues for which we require this kind of type conversion technique. The first issue is that when we are performing conversion from basic type means I am trying to say primitive type or built-in type to class type. That means when we are trying to, suppose we are trying to convert an integer type to a class object type. Here, that is the first case that you will face problem. You cannot do directly by using equal to operator. That means if you want to do directly by using equal to operator, you will face a problem. You will have to know how to do a conversion. Okay. Second kind of conversion is just opposite of it. That means from class type to basic type or primitive type, whatever you say. That means from class object to integer. From class object to integer. Integer is a one kind of example. I mean, you can use any other built-in data type instead of integer. But integer is the easiest one to show. And the last one, which I'm trying to explain here, that is the last problem. That means conversion from a class type to another class type. Okay. So from class type object 1 to class type object 2. That means these two class type objects are defining from two different classes. So these are the three conversion techniques you need to know how we can do with the help of C++. So everyone understood this thing? Anyone has any doubt, any question? Is it clear to everyone? What is the objective that we need to do here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. I think it is clear to everyone. If anyone has any question, you can ask me. BCA people, BTech people, if anyone has any question, you can ask me. Okay, so let's try to do the first kind of technique. The first kind of technique, that means here we are trying to convert from int type to class type. From int type to class type. That means from primitive or built-in data type to user-defined data type. Read this statement very carefully and try to think what conversion we need to do here. From a primitive or built-in data type to a user-defined data type. That means we will take an example from int data type to a class object data type. That is the thing that we need to do here. That is the thing that we need to do here, right? So here we can solve this problem. We can solve this problem by calling a constructor, of that class. So so the idea is to use the constructor to perform this type conversion. Okay, that means from a primitive data type to a class data type. That means from int type to a class data type. That we need to do. Okay, the objective is clear for this program to everyone, right? So here I have taken one class time. Okay, two variables I have taken. One variable is used to store the value for hours, and the variable is used to store the value for minutes. Okay. Then within a public access specifier, we define a default constructor or non-parameterized constructor by giving an initial value for hours and minutes. Okay. Then I have defined one more parameterized constructor where we have passed a variable of integer type. Okay, variable of integer type to calculate this thing. So how we can calculate the total hours by divided by 60, and how we can calculate the total minutes by modulo division by 60. It's a very simple operation. I think all of you are understanding these operations, right? So it will returns the remainder, and remainder is nothing but a minutes. Okay, and it will returns the actual divisor results. Okay. Now there is one more public method I have defined, display method, where we are just printing the calculated time in the form of hours and minutes. So this is the entire definition of the class time. Two constructor and one display method. Now comes into the main method. Try to understand very carefully. In main method, we have to first create the object of class time, that is T1, and we have also defined a duration variable of integer type. The value I have given 95. So our main objective is to give an input 95, and the program will show how many hours and minutes is equivalent to this 95. That means 1 hour and 35 minutes it will show as the output. 95 is your input, and your output will show in the form of hours and minutes. Now the problem is that we have to do a type conversion here. That means we have to convert this integer type duration to a class type T1. So T1 is your class object type or class type, whatever you say, and DUR, when duration, is your integer type data type. So how we can do the conversion? We can do the conversion in this way, by defining a constructor. Try to understand. You can do this similarity, that is not a problem. So T1 equal to duration. That means this is an integer type that will be converted to a class type. That is our objective of this program. Integer type duration is converted to a class type object T1. You can do this, but you have to have declare or define a constructor of this time T1, because whenever you are executing this statement, this constructor will call. Let me repeat it again. Whenever you are doing this conversion or executing this statement, T1 equal to duration, the parameters constructor is called. So you have to use this parameters constructor. You have to define this parameters constructor within this class time. Now you say, sir, what will be the value of t? This duration will be automatically passed as a value of t of this parameters constructor. Okay, and then in the next statement, we simply call the display method of this class time with the help of this object itself. So that is a conversion type from int type to class type. So our 95 is the input and our output is 1 hour 35 minutes. Is it clear to everyone? Tell me, anyone has any problem? Do you understand it? How it will work from type conversion? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Anyone has
Yes.
any kind of problem? Any kind of problem? It's very important. Try to understand these things because interviewer will ask a lot of questions from this kind of conversion. This actually, this kind of technique is important from the interview point of view. Okay, because they want to know how much deeply you know this subject C++. So they will discuss with this kind of tricky questions. Okay, how we can do these conversions. So it may be possible that you are not using such kind of conversion in your program. It may be possible. Okay, but you have to know if there is any problem, such kind of situation, such kind of problem you are facing while you are doing your future projects by using C++, then how we can handle these things. How we can convert the integer type or a basic data type or a primitive type into its corresponding class object type. So that is the way. But one thing, here I have used a constructor to define. So actually the answer should be that you are doing this conversion from a primitive data type to a class object type using the constructor or taking the help of a constructor. Okay, that is the thing, taking the help of a constructor. So here, while you are executing this statement t1 equal to duration, that means you are calling the corresponding constructor of the class for which this t1 object is defined. That is your time class. That is the first conversion. Okay. Now, there is the second type of conversion I am leaving for you. Okay. The second type of conversion I am not going to show. I am leaving for you. You have to use your brain to do this. If I am telling everything, then you are not going to use your brain to solve it. Okay. Second type of conversion means just opposite conversion. And it is very easy. If you understand these things, a basic type to class type, then you can also able to perform these things. A class type to basic type. That means now we are going to convert a class type object to a basic type conversion. Okay, that means from a class type object to an integer type. So that thing I am leaving for you. Now I am going to show you the last type of conversion. That is conversion from one class type object to another class type object. Conversion from one class type object to another class type object. That means we are creating two objects from two different classes and how we can convert it from one class type object to another class type object. That is the main aim here. So in this kind of conversion of one class type object to another class type object, we can also do this in two ways. One is using constructor, another one is using overloading casting operator. One is using constructor and another way of using overloading casting operator. Okay, you just need to know any one of this way which you are going to apply in your program. But how many ways you can do it, you just need to remember it. One is using constructor, another way is using overloading casting operator. We already know the overloading operator overloading. By using that overloading casting operator, we can do the conversion. But the most easiest way to do the conversion of one class type object to another class type object by using converter by using constructor itself. Okay. So let's start with the discussion. Suppose we have defined one class CGS. Okay. Try to understand. We have defined one class CGS, and in that class we have defined two variables. One is used to store the value for the meters, another is used to store the value for the centimeters. Okay. There is one public method show data I have defined, which will print the value of a CGS system in terms of both meters and centimeters. Right. Here I have defined one parameterized constructor by passing two parameters, int x and int y. X for the meter initialization and y for the centimeter variable initialization. Okay. MTS and CMS are the two class variables, and x and y is the passing variable while you are calling this constructor. And these two are the simple two methods to return centimeters and meters respectively. Okay. So these two methods returns it. Okay. This show data method is actually printing it. Okay. And this is the initialization using parameterized constructor. Now, here I have defined one more class. Why I have defined two classes? Because I am doing the conversion of one class object to another class object. So obviously, we have to define two classes and two objects from these two classes respectively. That is a very simple concept. So one object I am going to create for the class CGS, and another object I am going to create for the class FPS. Okay, for the class FPS. Now within the FPS class, we have defined two constructor. One is default constructor for the basic initialization. So that is optional. You may use, you may not use. Another one is for a parameterized constructor. Okay, where we are passing the object of the CGS class. Check it. We are passing the object of the CGS class. That means we are converting by the help of this definition of this parameterized constructor of the FPS class. We are converting the object type of the CGS class into a FPS class. We are converting the objects of the CGS class into a FPS class. So if you see here, I have used two methods, get CMs and get MTS, from where this FPS constructor will receive the output of these two methods. Where? From CGS class. Okay. So CGS class objects we are passing through the FPS that will allow to access this get CMs and get MTS method of the CGS class. If you don't pass the object, then it will not allow you to access. Look here, the object is useful to access by the help of dot operator. It will help you to access the get MTS and get CMS method to do the calculation. Okay, inside the FPS class constructor. Okay, and then it will calculate the necessary calculation for feet and inches. That is for FPS class. Okay, and then a void show data is calling to print the final feet and inches of the FPS system. Now check out the main method. That is the main thing where we actually do the conversion. Look, I have defined one class object D1 of the CGS class and passing two values 9 and 10. I have defined D1 object of the CGS class and passing two values 9 and 10. 9 for X and 10 for Y. X is assigned to MTS meters and Y is assigned for centimeters. Okay. And in the second line, I am creating another object for the FPS class, right? D2, whose name is D2. So two defined objects. Now how we can do the conversion? This is the line to do the conversion. D2 equal to D1. But one thing is need to remember that while you are writing this line, that means D1 is now assigned to D2, right? That means whenever the FPS constructor is calling, you are passing the D1 as a object of the CGS class. Okay, so D1 is passing internally, but it is actually assigned to D2. So that's why we have seen here as the D2 objects. But D1 is actually passing through D2. And D1 is the object of which class? CGS class. And it will carry how many values? 9 and 10. So here when D1 is passing to D2 and it will call get CMS and get MTS, so it is automatically assigned with 9 and 10 value in the CGS constructor, and it will return, CMS will return 10 value and get MTS will return 9 value. So here this get CMS will have 10 value and get MTS will have 9 value. Okay, so 10 plus 9 into 100 is 900. 900 plus 10 means 910. So if we divide 910 by 2.5 and all this operation, okay, so what will be the value? Tell me, what will be the value for x, feet and inches? If we will print it, what will be the value? That will be 910. Tell me, what will be the value for x, feet and inches? Calculate it and tell me. 910 divided by 2.5. Here 910 divided by 12, and here for the inches 910 divided by, not divided, modulo division. That means you will have to consider the remainder by 12. Understood? Everyone understood it? What is actually happened? That is the line, what is actually happened. This is very interesting thing to understand, that here we are making an equal to or assignment between these two class objects. D2 is a class object of FPS and D1 is a class object of CGS. But here we are actually converting one class object to another class object by using these assignment operations. Converting means we actually converting with the help of the constructor calling of the FPS. We actually do the conversion with the help of the constructor calling of the FPS. And while we are calling the constructor of FPS, why the FPS constructor is calling? Because D2 equals to D1. If we will do D1 equals to D2, then the constructor of CGS should be called instead of FPS constructor. Okay, the reverse thing will happen. So here the FPS constructor is calling by passing the D1 object. By passing the D1 object of the CGS class. So here D2 will represent the similar value that a D1 has. Okay. So tell me, is it understood by everyone? Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Anyone has any doubt? You need to do the practice. Okay. You need to do the practice. Otherwise, in the examination, it will be difficult for you. So one thing you should remember, that here everything will be done with the help of constructor. Actually, the constructor is working at the back end, and you are passing the object of one class as a parameter of a constructor of another class. That is the main concept is lying behind of this one class object type conversion to another class object type conversion. So if we run this code, then it will give the value in this form. Look. Okay, 9 meters, 10 centimeters, 910, that was the value, so 9 meters, 10 centimeters, and 30 feet and 4 inches. 30 feet and 4 inches.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, what is the job of STD scope resolution C out?
STD scope resolution C out.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
That is not actually the thing is that C out is an object of standard input output file, STD. Right? C out is an object of STD. STD means standard input output. So that is actually a optional thing. You can write these things or you can do only this thing. The same thing is there. Okay, there is no difference between them. You will get the output. Okay. At the initial class, if you remember at the first class, when I have defined C out and C in, I have mentioned these things. I think you have forget it. I have mentioned these things. So this is optional. You are calling the C out object from the standard input output streaming. Okay. So you can use this std colon in front of every C out in this program. It will not giving you out error. Okay. And if you don't, you don't need to use, right? It is optional. It is totally optional. But it is a good question because interviewer will ask sometime this question. that if we write these things, whether the code will run or not. Then if you don't know, then you will say, oh sir, these are wrong statements. No, this is not a wrong statement, because cout is an object of standard input output streaming, and that's why you can call that object with the help of scope resolution operator. That is, this is a system defined object, right? Cout is a system defined object, console output, system defined object of the standard input output streaming class. So that's why you can access this object with the help of the scope resolution operator and the standard class. Okay, this is optional. Look, this is also an object of standard end L. Okay, cin also an object of standard, so you can also use std::cin. Okay, for taking input from the terminal, you can also use it. So you can make your program more explainable, or you can make your program more readable. Okay, less complex. That's your choice. Okay. Is it clear? Is this conception clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Very good. So the second one I'm leaving for you. Okay, so everyone must try the second program. Okay, this one. I can give that program in your lab file. Okay, so conversion from one class type to another class type. Sorry, conversion from one class type to a basic type. Okay, that you will do. I have already shown this one and this one, right? Okay, so today I just want to start with a new concept called inheritance, and it is one of the heart of every object-oriented programming language. I'm saying it again, I'm repeating again, that this inheritance is one of the heart concept, one of the core concept of every object-oriented programming language, right? That if you are using Java, if you are using Python, or you are using any kind of object-oriented programming language, which will follow the pi principle, polymorphism, inheritance, and encapsulation. You have already learned encapsulation. Now you are going to start to learn inheritance. Okay, and after completion of the inheritance, then we can start to discuss about polymorphism. So the main pi principle of object-oriented programming is the heart of any object-oriented programming, which I have already told. So this concept is important for you to understand. Okay, so I'm just showing the basics of the inheritance and then show only a simple program. Then in the upcoming classes, we are continuing with the discussion of the various topics regarding inheritance. Okay, try to understand. This is very, very important, very, very important. Okay, if you understand these things in Java, while in future you are going to learn the Java programming, you will never face any problem. Okay, there is simple difference from Java and C++ in some cases that I will explicitly tell you. Okay, so inheritance. Okay, as the English word suggests, as you know, the actual meaning of an inheritance. Okay, so sometimes your family members is saying that, oh, this boy is looking like his father, or this boy is looking like his mother, or this boy is looking like his grandfather or grandmother. What does it mean? It means that that particular boy or that particular girl is inherit some looking features or external features from his or her ancestors. Here, that means suppose a boy is inherit the features of his face structure from his father. Okay, but his nose and eyes are representing his mother looking features, right? It may be possible that the boy has its own features. That means gene is always changing. Gene is always changing means gene is always changing to form a new gene, right? So some part it will inherit from his ancestors, but some parts it will evolve by itself. It may be possible, suppose the eye, the pupil color, the eye pupil color of his father is black, and the eye pupil color of his mother is gray, suppose, but the boy's eye pupil color is blue. So it is a problem. Yes, it's a mutation. It's kind of mutation, right? It's kind of mutation. So it is a problem that, not a problem, you can say an appearance of extra features, right? So let me tell you one very beautiful example of inheritance. So what is the basic definition of inheritance? Inheritance is a process of acquiring the property of one class into another class. That is a very, very basic and simple definition of inheritance. That is true for every object-oriented programming language, right? So inheritance is a process of acquiring behaviors or features from one class into another class. Okay, and inheritance supports the property, which is very important, is reusability. Reusability is a very, very important property that supports by inheritance. Reusability means you are not defining the same features again and again into the inherit classes, because that feature automatically came from its ancestor classes, okay, or inherited classes. That means what I have already told, the features, some features you are adopting due to the gene effect by birth from your parents or from your grandparents. So that actually called a reusability of the features. The same features is reusing again and again for upcoming successors. Okay, or you can say the upcoming successors, right? So they can inherit those features. So let's take one very beautiful example of inheritance. Suppose, try to understand this example very carefully. Okay, suppose we have a main class bird. Try to understand. Suppose we have a main class bird. Now this bird class has some basic features, right? So I define those features in terms of members of the bird class. Features are represented by which sense in C++, in programming? By its members. It has two kind of members. One is data members, another one is member functions, right? So suppose the bird class have members like int wings. How many wings the bird has? Okay, is always 2 wings. There is no bird in the world which has more than 2 wings or 3 wings or any other numbers of wings. Okay, it's always 2 wings, right? Now legs. How many legs a bird class have? Again 2 legs. There is no bird which has 3 legs or more than 2 legs or less than 2 legs. Okay, even I don't know. Okay, if there may be, but I don't know. Now this is the 2 members, class members I have defined for the bird class. Try to understand, right? These are the 2 class members I have defined for the bird class, and I am also going to define one member function. Suppose void fly. No, fly cannot be a member function. Suppose void eat. Every bird eats. Okay, so these 3 are the members of a bird class. Try to understand. Everyone try to understand very carefully. Suppose these 2 are the members of the bird class. 3 are the members of the bird class. 2 member methods. Sorry, two member data members and 1 member method. Void it. Now, if we divide the bird class into 2 kind of classes, 2 different kind of classes, right? If we divide the bird class into 2 different kind of classes, how you can do that? This is 1, and suppose this is 1. I am not giving this straight line in between. Okay, that we will give. I'm just trying to understand these things. Okay, this is 1 and this is 1. So if we divide the bird class, suppose into three classes, right, into three classes. Try to understand. One is a sparrow. Sparrow is another bird class. Another one is suppose a penguin, another bird class. Okay, and another one is suppose ostrich, another bird class. Try to understand, everyone. Try to understand. Now, these three are the special classes which actually inherit from its parent bird class. That sparrow has inherit all the properties of this parent bird class. Penguin has inherited all the properties of the parent bird class, and ostrich also do the same thing. That means sparrow class must have two wings, two legs, and it will eat. Penguin class also has two wings, two legs, it will eat. Ostrich class also has two wings, two legs, and it can also eat. But what about the mutation? That is, it may be possible that your child classes or your base classes, child classes means this one, or derived classes. This is also called derived classes, and this is also called a parent class or base class. Parent class or base class, right? And this is called, these are called child class or derived class, whatever you say, whatever you are comfortable in. So this child class or derived class can have some extra features due to the mutation, whatever you say, some extra features that the bird class, the parent bird class does not have. What are those extra features? Suppose the sparrow class has extra features. Void fly. Sparrow can fly. Penguin class has extra features. Void swim. Penguin can swim. Ostrich class has extra features. Void run. Ostrich can run. Can anyone tell me, at first time I mistakenly give the fly method here, but I have changed it and give it. Why I couldn't give fly method here?
Because ostrich didn't fly and penguin.
Because penguin and ostrich cannot fly.
Yes, very good. Because these are also birds, penguin, ostrich, but they cannot fly. Each and every bird may have its special features. May have, not must have, may have its special features. So the parent class should contain only those features which are applicable to all its child classes. You cannot include such features for the parent class which are not applicable for all the child classes. So this is very important to understand, that while you are defining your base class or parent class, you have to remember these things. You have including those members which can be inherited by its child class successfully. If the child class does not support those members, then you cannot inherit those members. Okay, but child class may have its own special features or special members. May have. Okay, that doesn't matter, because child class member, the sparrow class fly method has no relationship with the penguin class swim method. And again, the penguin class swim method has no relationship with the ostrich class run method. So they have their own methods individually. Is it clear to everyone? Anyone has any question? Do you understand what is inheritance?
Yes, sir.
Anyone has any kind of question? Okay, we don't have enough time to show the code. Time is over. So I will continue this inheritance concepts from my next class onwards. It is a very, very important. Okay, it will take 3 to 4 class more to complete the entire inheritance concept. Okay, and it is very, very important, and that is very easy to implement. If you understand the concept, it is easy for you to implement. Okay, so everyone, please read these concepts. In the next class, I will discuss about how many types of inheritance are there and how we are going to implement those inheritance in terms of C++ coding. Okay, it's very easy. So if anyone has any kind of question, you can ask me.